Ramon Ray, welcome to the Post-Pandemic Pivot Summit. Such an honor to have you among us today. For any of you that are meeting Ramon for the very first time, I'm going to do a brief introduction. But while I do that, I will recommend that you grab a piece of paper and a pen because you're going to want to write down whatever this man is going to share with us today because it's going to be pure gold. So Ramon, let me make a brief introduction about your tremendous career. You're an expert in small business success. You work with the largest and best global companies to help them understand how to better serve small businesses. But the remarks do not stop there. You're a speaker, a podcaster, an entrepreneur in residence at Oracle. You're the founder of smarthustle.com, and you have started 4 companies. I think so far you have sold 2.
That's correct.
And you have worked with presidents, you have testified to Congress, you have shared the stage with celebrities like Seth Godin and Gary Vee. So, wow, what a resume. And that's just a short picture of what you have accomplished in this life. So welcome to the Post-Pandemic Pivot Summit. It's such an honor to have you among us today.
Thank you, Claudia. I have a lot to learn, I'm excited to learn from you during our discussion here too, but it's great to be here and serve our community. So Claudia, thank you for picking me, and I'm excited to be on this journey with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, that's generous, but we are so eager to learn from you. And, the audience for this summit are people who had jumped into entrepreneurship as a result of the pandemic. This is a shared experience that we're having globally. And many people through the pandemic either had lost their job or had the opportunity to reevaluate what is important in our lives and chose to jump into creating a business that may potentially give them the freedom and the wealth that they're seeking to spend with their loved ones and live a life of purpose. So I'm curious, how did your journey into entrepreneurship start out?
Sure. I don't know if entrepreneurship is you're born with that or it's nurtured in you or you can be taught. I don't know what the answer to that is. My guess is, I believe, a little bit nurturing from what you observe from others and a little bit born, because I do believe to be a successful business owner, especially entrepreneur that wants to scale a bit more, you have to have a bit of risk tolerance in you, Claudia. And I think if you don't have a bit of risk tolerance, it's hard to start a business and grow one. I think if you don't have a bit of the ability to figure it out, it's hard as well. So I think 3 or 4 traits you do need to be successful. But this started, like anybody, I just wanted a job. And so one of my first jobs was working at the United Nations. My really first job was being a stock boy, they called it back then, but stock girl too, but stock boy, stocking groceries at a store and other things like that. But I worked at the United Nations for a number of years, Claudia, until I was fired. They had a rule against having your own business. And I had permission, but then that permission was taken away. And somebody in my office, I'm sure you know people like that, was really jealous of me. And so when I was fired, that really started my journey of full-time entrepreneurship. And the rest is history. Ramon, as you've said already, as a speaker, MC, host, and serving very, very large companies, the best in the world, helping them reach small businesses and doing amazing things like this to serve small businesses. That's how I started. I was pushed into the water.
So you're not like many of us that had been pushed, you will say, into it through the pandemic. It's hard to imagine you not being successful. You have accomplished so much. But have you ever experienced, see, for new entrepreneurs, we often feel stuck to the process of creating our own business. And I get it. Yes, you have to be open to risk and try. But have you ever felt stuck?
Yeah, and I think there's 2 things about being stuck, maybe 2 or 3 things. I think one, for those who feel stuck, and by the way, I did have my slight post-pandemic story about me creating an event, so I can share that, remind me if we have time. So people know I can empathize and identify with them. But because I had to reinvent my own business. But I think feeling stuck is a big deal. And for those who are just starting out, I think 2 or 3 things to think in mind. One, it's easier said than done, but you just have to get used to being uncomfortable, get used to knowing that you will be stuck and you will fall on your face. That's important. That's part of the journey. In fact, if you're not like a baby, if a baby doesn't stumble and hit their head on the sofa and hurt their leg, they're probably not learning how to walk properly in a joking way. You're going to fall. So that's one. And then 2, use that being stuck, that mess up, that mix up as a learning experience. I think if you do those 2 things, a client didn't pay me, or, I thought I could sell, red cups to people. didn't work out or it's not selling, that's part of the journey, that it didn't work out, you got stuck. But then two, okay, red cups aren't selling. Ooh, let me add a blue, silly example, a blue stripe to it. That's the key. So I think if people do those two things, Claudia, will work. And yes, in my own business, I've, as it were, gotten stuck or failed. I mean, in starting my businesses, I've had several ideas, Claudia. I've lost a lot of money. So that's one. I know time is short, so I could go on and on. And then even in business, losing thousands of dollars. Okay, Claudia, let me try to sell a video about paint drying on a wall. We'll see if anybody will buy that. Didn't work, of course. So I've been stuck before.
So you're hinting a little bit about leadership in your answer. And I have heard you say before that there's no success without leadership. So what does that mean in practice? How do we even focus in our leadership?
I think the challenge of very, very small businesses, Claudia, is that we focus on the tactics of entrepreneurship. And Seth Godin has taught me that quite a bit over the years, the tactics. How do I use funnels? How do I build a website? How do I build my personal brand? How do I get the colors working in Canva or whatever tool you're using, you know? And again, I'm the author of Celebrity CEO, so tactics are important. I would believe that. But why I say leadership, Claudia? Because in my own business, I started 4 companies, sold 2. I've been in business for almost 30 years or more. But I've had to learn only in the past few years that it's the leadership that is the most important thing. What's my mindset? What's the purpose, values, mission of my company? And am I creating the right team and inspiring them to be most productive and delegating to them? Those 3 things, if you're not being a great leader, not that you won't make money with the tactics, but for those who have just started, welcome to post-pandemic. Glad you're here. It's going to be hard to take it to the next level. So don't get stuck in wondering, ooh, do I use tool A or tool B? Ooh, this is $299. This is $297. Let me spend 4 years determining it. Really? You got to move forward.
So you're actually telling us not to major in the minors.
Thank you.
And move forward.
That's exactly right.
It's a strong lesson to learn, especially when you're beginning, right? Because it's so easy to get caught in the activities that will not generate revenue.
Correct.
You are an expert in brand building. And thank you for mentioning your book, The Celebrity CEO. There's a link below this video highlighting that book, because I think you're so, in a very generous way, you created a roadmap for all of us that are starting out to build a sustainable business. But in your book, you speak about the importance of owning our brand. How do we like starting out, we had like the one idea, we are figuring out with Canva or funnels or whatever we're going to use. How do we even start thinking about our brand and then furthermore owning it?
Sure. I think that there's two key principles. One, I always talk about building a community of fans, which you are nurturing to a sale. Money's important, cash is important, making sales is important. So you have to learn that, and Claudia or others can teach you that all day. I can too. But the point being, don't neglect and even maybe prioritize, Claudia, instead building the community, adding value, getting people, as my friend John Jantz, author of Duct Tape Marketing, says, getting people to know, like, and trust you. So that's one. The cousin to that, or said a different way, ask for a smile before you ask for a sale. If you can get this done, yes, you need to make sales on this hand, but instead of me selling Claudia on, I'll hold my red cup again, my coffee cup. Instead of Claudia buying this one red cup, I would rather Claudia's just admire 100 of the cups. If you feel what I mean, then eventually 10% are going to buy. So that's this principle to encourage you all in going to tactical. Know who your perfect customer is. Know what their problem. Go on LinkedIn. I dare you. You listening to me, I'm talking to you. Go on LinkedIn once a day and do a short video. Because we're talking to people who are just starting, right, Claudia? So if you're just starting, take your phone. Just your phone. There's no money. Take your phone. Hey, my name is Roberto. My name is Peter. My name is Rebecca. Blah, 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 blah. Do that once a day. And I bet you'll watch your brand uplifting. You'll watch get more followers. Then people are going to say, hey, Claudia talked about that red cup or whatever all day. And by the way, Claudia, on the side, I hold this red cup often so much. Somebody thought I was promoting something and trying to
Oh
sell
my
something.
God.
And I was like, no, this is just my favorite red cup. I drink from it. So you'll see in some videos, I do a lot of interviews. I happen to hold it up because in the morning. So it's a funny thing. Most people don't. But one guy was like, Ramon, do you have a red cup
Where
business?
do
I'm
I
like,
get
no,
that?
it's the brightest thing next to me. Besides, I could hold up an iPad, but
Well, if we needed any proof that your point is valid, you just actually gave us that proof that creating that contact could
yes.
open up. And that, you know, that makes me think every Sunday, I very much look forward to your emails from the
Oh,
side hustle. And you provide this generous amount of information, great articles that feed our souls and get us in a pathway to success and makes us think different and learn about resources. And it kind of like goes hand in hand with what you're suggesting, right? We can go to LinkedIn, we can go to TikTok, we can go to Facebook, whatever it is, or medium of choice to start feeling comfortable with video and doing that. We live in an era where we can actually create an audience from our phone without spending any money. But there's a trick to that. One, we should go to your website because you offer a really valuable way to create interesting videos. But more importantly, going back to the sidehustle.com and the incredible value that you offer in content. You're a master at it. If we are starting out, obviously we can go to your sidehustle.com and get some ideas about content, but how do you find that content? How do we get content that is of value to our audience?
Sure. No, you're right, Claudia. Content marketing is a tough, I'm cautious always of saying something's easy because I don't like when Claudia says to me, oh, Ramon, like, Claudia, what's something that you do well, that you do better than anybody? Give me something you do very well.
I train people in their leadership skills.
Okay. So Ramon, leadership is easy. Well, Claudia, you've been doing it for years. Easy for me. So I tend, but to answer your question. So here's a few key things I'd say about content. One, be very, very clear on who you're speaking to, on who your audience is. And I will show up a book here. Do you mind if I have so many books?
Absolutely not.
No. So another friend, I've mentioned so many, my friend John Jantz, Duct Tape Marketing. I have my own, but my friend Marcus Sheridan, one of the best books I like. They ask, not my own, I promote everybody. Yes. They ask, you answer. And I'm holding this because that's the key. What is the problems, or what are the problems that the people you're serving have? What are their questions? And his story, he had a pool business. So I think something like, should it be plastic or plexiglass versus concrete? How do I clean it? Chlorine, no chlorine, ladders, no ladders, cover it, don't cover it. What happens in the winter? Thousands of questions. He just answered it. So the best way for content, Claudia, and this works for anybody, even you listening to us today, works for anybody. Just think, what are the biggest problems people are having? Go on your favorite platform and start answering them. In Claudia's case, leadership expert, right? So, what do you call it? Imposter syndrome, being a leader, being a female leader, being a young leader, being an old leader. How do I hire people? What if I want to get promoted? Whatever, 1,000 different questions. Claudia should answer them all somewhere, and I'm sure she does. So that's the start, Claudia. Answer the questions, know who you're talking to, and then don't get overwhelmed by Ramon, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, whatever. Yeah, it's important to understand that. But pick wherever your people are at and just show up. If you don't show up, you're not there. That's part of it. And yes, we do touch on these things at Smart Hustle, but the point is, indeed, again, you can Google these, find them. Claudia has them. You're here in this summit. So wherever you are, the knowledge is all around you.
That is powerful. Yes, because we can get overwhelmed by trying to, one, compare ourselves with highly successful entrepreneurs and being intimidated by how do we start? Where do they get their information? So that is incredibly valuable. In your book, you gave us so many, you have 4 books, but I'm specifically talking about the Celebrity CEO. There's another really great book that you have that is the Small Business Marketing that I'm also going to, there's the link below this, because I think the companion of those 2 books really set the stage for early entrepreneurs to go after establishing a clear messaging for their audience. But the promise in your book, The Celebrity CEO, is that if we follow your advice, we can actually have clients chasing after us. And you have given us a little bit of how to do that. What what are, in addition to creating our videos or starting creating our messages and answering before the question is even asked, what is it that our audience may need? What are other activities that we can do in order to generate that in that space that we all desire?
And this is going to get tactical, but you feel free to ask me other things, to pull the question. I get distracted very easily, Claudia. So while I'm sitting here, I could go like, woo. So feel free to, hey,
Because
Ramon, come back.
You
come
are
back.
the essence of a true entrepreneur. Your mind is always working.
So I'm always careful when I'm being interviewed. I tell the host, you have permission to Ramon, you didn't answer my question, because I can go woo off them. So see, I almost, yes. Okay, good. So I think part of it is, tactically speaking, I find video is important. Now, video is not for everybody, and we can talk about 1,000 different things, but I'll just give one hint. Using myself as an example. So my clients are very, very large technology brands who serve small businesses. That's one subset of who we serve, as an example. It's not an easy market to penetrate, large Microsoft and SAP, AT&T, Verizon.
Yeah.
So, but I'm on video so much. I do so much content, and I'm imagining a little bit how you and I connected, that since I do so much, by the time somebody emails me or calls me, they have a pretty good sense of what Ramon has to offer. If they're looking for more, hello, everyone, welcome to NPR. That's not the guy, but there's good people like that. So my point is, that's one example. Be who you want people to find you as. Silly example, and you can throw any example you want to me, Claudia, but if you're a dog walker, it just comes to mind. You should be doing dog all over. So Claudia is looking for a dog walker. She's seen you with a Chihuahua, German Shepherd, Poodle, every version. It's silly, but Claudia, does it make sense what I'm trying to say? So in my market, since I'm so much dominating about small business, and there's many others who do it, but for me, certain way I do it, certain language I speak, the frequency, you can't catch me. Doesn't mean I'm going to be hired. But anybody in my market knows Ramon Ray. This is for sure. No question about it. So helpful.
We can, very helpful. We can actually create like almost an omnipresence of what we're doing and where we are and what is it that we're trying to do.
And Claudia, if I could say, it may not be for everyone. I must say, again, in this summit, I'm sure you have different perspectives. So I want to respect those who may say, Ramon, I don't like video or I don't like content. There's other ways. But for the Ramon Ray method, yes, it's that overwhelming amount of content across platforms to the right customer. After a few, let's say, Claudia, do you like coffee, Claudia, any particular?
I love it. Yes.
Okay. So I'm trying to use other examples, Claudia, so people know it's not just for us content marketers or thought leaders, but Claudia likes coffee. Let's say she likes blueberry coffee, which sounds very nasty, but let's say she likes blueberry coffee. If I'm only talking about blueberry coffee, tagging and all this, Claudia's going to see me. She went, who's this guy again? Blueberry coffee? Oh, who's this guy? Blueberry coffee? He went to his mother's funeral and offered blueberry coffee too. Claudia's he's gonna begin to Ramon. So you see what I'm trying to get at.
Yes, it's so interesting because you're painting a picture for us as early entrepreneurs. We make often the mistake of like sell, and people shut down and they are not longer interested in hearing whatever Claudia has to say or whatever we are trying to, because we are blocking the potential communication. So when you say, give a smile before you make a sale, it is a very strong way to remember what exactly are we trying to do and how do we show up. That idea of value, and finding the right message is so important. You have accomplished so much. We already talked about it. You have, 4 companies. I mean, how do you do that? It's beyond my understanding, but here you are exploding as an entrepreneur. What would happen if you lose everything tomorrow? How do you start over again? What would you do?
I cry very easily too. I'm distracted and I cry easily, very easily, Claudia. I feel like I'm crying now, getting ready to cry. I think about that, Claudia, all the time. And here's what I would do, Claudia. And I'll even make it harder. There was no internet. That would be very tough life. Our parents and grandparents and others, this is the journey they lived in, whatever the immigrant journey, which is the hustle, that immigrant hustle, or those who were natively born here years ago. I see, almost got distracted again, Claudia. Okay. But here's what I would do. I would make friends, go very local, and I would find what are 3, 4, 5 to have options of the problems that people have. That's what I would do. That's it. That's all I could do, Claudia. And I would start from there. So if I look at the local community where I am, let's assuming everybody else is okay, which would not be the case, but let's play along here. I would say, great. Everybody's leaving. They need babysitters. Babysitters for a male. That's just, I'm not, getting into other things, but for me, probably wouldn't do that, but follow along. Babysitting's one. I'd be like, oh, car cleaning business. There's all these cars in my development, Claudia. I would take a darn bucket, some Dove soap. I'd walk from house to house to house and say, listen, your car's here because you're taking the train once a week or once a day. I'll clean your car. Normally it's $10,000 a car. But you know what, for you, I'll do it $19. What do you think? So that's the kind of thing, car cleaning. So my point is, what I'm getting at is I would start to immediately find, what do people need? How can I make a quick buck? Now, the other side of that, which I'm sure you've seen, Claudia, I'd have to really think about how I presented myself. If I'm going to a female, I'm walking up to Claudia in a dark street. Okay, maybe that's not, or does she trust me? Sometimes people say no. I like to buy groceries for people, Claudia. I do it on demand and secretly if I can, but sometimes I try to buy groceries for people. They say no, because it just seems like Claudia's in line behind me, right? And I'm like, Claudia, can I pay for the $100 of groceries? No, because you're going to ask for a ride home. No, but so I hope I didn't confuse things. But the point is, what I would do is try to find what's the solution people have right there locally. The word would spread. No internet, no phone. That's what I would do.
It is what I hear you say is that opportunities are within our reach. We have to just observe and understand our context and where we are, because anybody could actually start a business if we pay attention to our environment. Yes. That is incredibly powerful. I wonder, yes, you're absolutely right. Anybody who comes in touch with you will never forget you. Your presence is so strong that absolutely by the time you actually walk through what you are giving us as an information today, because absolutely right. By the time we come in touch with you, we know exactly your personality. We know who you are. We know what you're all about, and we want to get to the meat. Like, tell us more. Whatever it is that you're doing, we want it. And that is, what we all aspire to, right? To create that presence, to create that connection. Ramon, where can we stay in touch with you? How can we learn more about you? For those of you who live under a rock and have not come across you before.
People can, if you Google my name, not Ramoncito, no Y, no D, just Ramon Ray. But listen, RamonRay.com, RamonRay, or smart, SMART, hustle.com. I'm happy to serve. As you said, there's so much content there. Every Thursday at 2 p.m., I send out an amazing, I think it's amazing, inspirational email. People can go to Smart Hustle, sign up for that. Or as you said, on Sundays, we have another email that gives a wrap up of the things. So I'm here to serve, Claudia, and smarthustle.com or RamonRay.com. They'll find some nuggets to help them in their business.
And below this video, they'll have the opportunity to get your book. That is an incredible resource, especially for anybody really in their journey of entrepreneurship. But if you are new to entrepreneurship, the Celebrity CEO could serve you well in setting up success. Indeed. Ramon, thank you so much for your generosity. I was trying to not look distracted and take as many notes as possible. I'm glad that this will be a recording that we can revisit in the future, because there's so much to cover with us today. Thank you for your generosity.
My pleasure.